Now let's go to the BBC's 1995 interview with Princess Diana. It was, of course, one of the greatest television exclusives of all time. Perhaps the most famous woman in the world at the time, admired by countless millions, married to the bloke who one day, maybe, will be the King of England, and she was bearing her soul.
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
An investigation has now castigated the journalist, revealing that he deceived Diana's brother to get an introduction to her and talks his way into the interview under false pretences.
The investigation into the interview concludes Mr Bashir deceived and induced him to arrange a meeting with Princess Diana. By gaining access to Princess Diana this way, Mr Bashir was able to persuade her to agree to give the interview. Mr Bashir's behaviour, it says, seriously breached BBC guidelines. His evidence was incredible, unreliable and sometimes dishonest.
Yep, desperate, dodgy journalists, even at the BBC. Colour me surprised. You don't have to have any sympathy for Bashir. You don't have to excuse his revolting behaviour at all to make the obvious point that the princess decided to do the interview of her own volition and said what she wanted to say as a grown adult with full agency. But that's not how many see it, including her eldest son.
What saddens me most is that if the BBC had properly investigated the complaints and concerns first raised in 1995, my mother would have known that she had been deceived. She was failed not just by a rogue reporter, but by leaders at the BBC who looked the other way rather than asking the tough questions. It is my firm view that this panorama programme holds no legitimacy and should never be aired again. It effectively established a false narrative which for over a quarter of a century has been commercialised by the BBC and others.
Yep, it's an ugly day for the BBC, and yes, Bashir was dodgy as all get up. But the person who was responsible for what Princess Diana chose to say in that interview, surely, was Princess Diana.